This is your host Naeem bin Muhammad Rafi, and here is my YouTube channel Zamir Universal. I think if the Arabs at this moment they don't wake up and they don't know what their public is at the moment going through when they see the people starving, people thirsty, dying of hunger, drowning in the ocean to trying to collect the aid being dropped from the airplanes, and the blockade of these most cruel criminal, the Zionists, who came and they occupied their land almost 75 to 80 years ago, and they kept quiet, and for one reason or the other they were busy with the women and their buying and all the the things in the world which attract them, and the whole air squadrons, while it was still on the ground, but they were destroyed by just few Israeli aeroplanes. Now it's exactly the same thing happening now, but you see the resistance put up by Hamas. Hats off to Hamas. I think the whole world, Islamic world, must salute them. And you talk about this nonsense of October the 7th. What happened in October the 7th? When you push some people against the barbed wire for 75 years, when you take away their liberty and honor, when you hit their mother and fathers and kill them, when you bulldoze their homes and graves, when you take up their olive groves and you take up their agricultural land, their livelihood, and cage them like monkeys and in the zoo. What the hell do you expect? They should have done this sooner, and they should have done it times and times again. All your bloody concrete wall and all that. Who the hell are you? It is their land. Now you have cut your own feet. You were given chance and chance again for 2 states. You don't damn deserve even one small tiny inch of that place now. You will be now thrown out from every inch of this sacred Palestinian land, and your bloody red cow or the red heifer you created genetically will just die, and you will eat its flesh yourself. Or the cow will eat you, but you will not there, and your father, your stepfather, this the F-35, and you want with this F-35 and F-16 to this small tiny strip of land. No, it's not that he gave you for. He gave you, you are his bully dog, you are his puppy dog who go and bites. See if there is even one single war the Americans have won in the Asian or Middle East. Give me one example. And the same is with Europe. With their look at their economy, look at their cheap gas they used to get and the oil from Russia. By you stopping them, by they joining you for 20 years in Australia, all the countries which joined this America to fight the Afghans, and see how humiliated you and thrown out you are, and so are you going to be thrown out, you Netanyahu, and you're this Grant who came, the pig's face, who came with that, all this, look at the hypocrisy of this bloody damn man sitting in there without, and he bypasses Congress each time. He gives you again millions and gives you wars. And then look at, he pretends, this bloody wolf is wearing a sheepskin. He says, I am sympathizing. Don't attack Rafah. Look at this man's, this, I think the hypocrisy and the black face of this man has now been exposed not only to the Arabs, but to the rest of the world. Now you see the propaganda against Russia and China. It is actually the ugliest, the filthiest, the most terrorists are these 2 states, Israel and United States. Now they are both left alone to be destroyed. They will be destroyed into pieces just like previously the Roman Empire, just like previously the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire. Now you will see what's going to happen. Now you are not going to get anything you see. Already your Elat is deserted, the ghost town they are. So that's going to be soon taken over from you, and it will be returned back to the state of Palestine, and so would be Tel Aviv. All the names you change, it will revert back to the old previous names in history, where the books and all that you find the bird maps, you find the Palestine, the sacred land. You don't deserve it, you will be out. Artificially you went against God and you created this artificial and illegitimate state Now you want created a red heifer, artificially genetically modifying. You went against God again. And you bloody that rabbi who told you that you are chosen. You are not chosen. Damn it, look at your chief rabbi who is spitting on your face, on the face of your Supreme Court and quitting. And 1/4 of the population, which are real Jews who follow Taro, are going to leave you. Then all those scum of the society you gathered in 75 years, they will leave you. Then your own, these youngsters you forcibly recruit, they will leave you. And then you will be begging the international community to come and fight with you. Give me one example where the other countries' people have come and fought and give them their safety or security or independence. None. So wake up and now quit and let those people go. Just like as Pharaoh said, oh Pharaoh, let them go, what Prophet Moses said. And at least he did not hear to Prophet Moses, and you see what happened to the chariot.
A report says that the US has authorized the transfer of billions of dollars worth of bombs and fighter jets to Israel. And this comes even as Washington publicly expresses concerns about an anticipated Israeli military offensive in Rafah. The report says that the new arms package includes more than 1,800 Mk-84 2,000 lb bombs and 500 Mk-82 500 lb bombs. Now, the package comes as Israel faces strong international criticism over its continued bombing campaign and ground offensive in Gaza. Some members of US President Joe Biden's party have also called on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to cut dependence on US military aid. Well, Biden has, however, vowed continued support for Israel despite an increasingly public rift with Netanyahu. Washington gives $3.8 billion in annual military assistance to Israel, its longtime ally. The White House has declined to comment on the weapons transfer. The weapons supply to Israel follows a visit to Washington by the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant this week. On his visit, Gallant discussed Israel's weapons needs with U.S. counterparts. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has authorized an Israeli negotiating team to travel to Qatar and Egypt in the coming few days. Israeli Prime Minister's office said in a statement that this is to hold talks on the release of hostages who are still held in Gaza by the Hamas militants. Now, last week, Israel's Mossad director David Barnea and Shin Bet director Ronen Bar returned to Israel without a breakthrough in indirect.
We can see by the pictures this impending famine. Who do you blame for this?
Well, first of all, let's just be absolutely clear that the threat of imminent famine described by the United Nations is not an official in New York, writing a press release. The International Phase Classification System is a detailed, technocratic, quite small c, conservative look at the facts on the ground. They describe, as Secretary Blinken said, 1 million people at level 5, that is famine level. The rest of the population, level 4 is considered an emergency, level 3 a crisis. So 2.2 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from, and the million who are at risk of famine, imminent risk of famine, in level 5, represent the fastest degradation, the fastest acceleration of a hunger crisis that's ever been seen. Now, how do you explain that to get you to your question? This is about very straightforward decisions that are being made on the ground about the number of crossing points, about the number of trucks that are allowed to go through crossing points, about what aid, above all food aid, is allowed to go on the trucks that go across the crossing points, about the transit of trucks once they are inside Gaza, because you'll know a World Food Programme convoy was turned back in the middle of the night inside Gaza last week. So you've got a series of impediments, blockages, restrictions being put in place on lorries carrying the most basic humanitarian aid. And it's not getting through to the people who need it. That's why you're ending up in the situation where what are frankly fourth and fifth best alternatives, dropping aid from the sky, building a pier that's going to be online in another 6 weeks, that won't help.
Biden must have calculated that the only way to have any influence on Israel would be to hug it close, show real empathy, send it the arms it needed, and thus earn Israel's trust to shape its response. It was a thought-through strategy, but it has failed almost completely. From the start, the administration urged the Israelis to consider proportionality in their response to Hamas. Israel heard it and went ahead with one of the most extensive bombing campaigns in this century against a population of about 2.2 million people that by Israel's own estimates contained about 30,000 Hamas militants. By one January estimate, more than half of buildings across Gaza have been damaged or destroyed. The administration counseled Israel against a large ground invasion of Gaza, advising it to take a narrower, targeted approach aimed at eliminating Hamas militants and infrastructure. The Israeli government had lots of long meetings with U.S. officials and then again went ahead with the ground invasion. The Biden team urged a humanitarian pause, but only got a brief one when it was able to get the government of Qatar to broker a hostage exchange. After initial operations wound up, American officials told Israeli officials that what was done in the north of Gaza could not be done to the south. Yet, after telling people to move to the south to get out of harm's way, Israel then proceeded to bomb the south in a manner that President Biden himself admitted is indiscriminate. The U.S. has repeatedly pressured Israel to make greater efforts to protect innocent civilians, but to little avail. Now it has been counseling against an invasion of Rafah, the city nestled close to Egypt, where over 1 million Palestinians have huddled together. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised to invade Rafah, whether another hostage deal is made or not. Washington has warned that after the war, there should be no Israeli seizure of land in Gaza and no new Israeli occupation of the territory. The Israeli government's plans are to do both. The result is that American policy on the Gaza war now
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम। हकीकत टीवी साइंस एंड हेल्थ में खुश आमदीद। इजराइल में आज तूफान उठा हुआ है और तूफान बड़ा खतरनाक है। इजराइल की सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जानिब से एक बहुत ही हैरान कुन नहीं, एक्सपेक्टेड लेकिन मुश्किल फैसला आया है जो पूरे इजराइल के डायनामिक्स बदलने वाला है। हुआ ये है कि आपने अक्सर औकात देखा होगा, इजराइल के जो मजहबी अल्ट्रा ऑर्थोडॉक्स यहूदी हैं, जो मजहबी हैं, ये असल में वो लोग हैं जो तौरात पर अमल करते हैं, ज़्यादा उसकी तालीमात हासिल करते हैं। इस्राइल में सूरत हाल ये पैदा हुई है कि आज से पहले तक एक इस्तिस्ना हासिल थी। इन लोगों को इस्राइल में तमाम लोग मिलिट्री में जाते हैं, तमाम लोग जाते हैं, वहाँ ट्रेनिंग लेते हैं, तैयार रहते हैं, सिवाय तकरीबन इन 12 से 15 लाख लोगों के जिनके सपोर्टर्स मिला के करीबन 20 लाख बनते हैं। यानी ये तकरीबन समझ लीजिए 12-15 लाख के करीब लोग हैं और ये 15 लाख लोग वहाँ पर तौरात की तालीमात लेते हैं। ये इजराइल के पहले वज़ीर आज़म ने ये कानून बना दिया था और उन्होंने कहा था कि असल में ये काम होगा और आगे चलकर फिर इसको इंडोर्स किया गया, यानी बाकी वज़ीर आज़म ने भी। अब हुआ ये है कि यहाँ बड़ी अजीबो गरीब सूरत हाल पैदा हो गई है। और सूरत हाल ये है कि इन्होंने कहा था, इनके मजहबी पेशवाओं ने कहा था कि अगर ये फैसला आया, ये कानून साजी हुई, तो हम इजराइल छोड़कर चले जाएंगे। और अगर वो चले गए तो तकरीबन उनके साथ 20 लाख लोग चले जाएंगे टोटल। और 20 लाख लोगों के साथ साथ जब देखेंगे बाकी भी तो 5-10 लाख वैसे ही चले जाएंगे, तो कुल मिलाकर इजराइल की आबादी का 25 से 30 लाख बंदा इजराइल छोड़ जाएगा। कानून ये आया है कोर्ट की जानिब से 31 मार्च तक, 31 मार्च तक, एक दिन के बाद आप लोग इसकी कानून साजी कर लें। अगर ना हुआ तो 1 अप्रैल से ये खुद ब खुद कानून बन जाएगा सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऑर्डर के मुताबिक। इन लोगों के जो स्कूल्स हैं, इन लोगों के तमाम इदारे, उनको फंडिंग आप बंद करेंगे, कोई फैसिलिटी इनको नहीं मिलेगी और इसके बाद इन पर बहुत सारी पाबंदियां होंगी। और कहा कि इन सबको फौज में भर्ती करें। क्यों भर्ती करें? क्योंकि हमास ने उनको इतनी कुट चाड़ी है, इतनी कुट मारी है, यानी आप सोच ले हैं कि इस कुट खा के, मार खा के, लड़ाई कर के, शिकस्त खा के उनका भुरकस निकाल दिया है हमास ने। और इनकी हालत ये हो चुकी है, उनके इतने लोग मारे गए हैं, गोलानी ब्रिगेड से लेकर तमाम बड़े छोटे सारे मारे गए हैं। अब हालत ये है कि 170 दिन से ऊपर चले गए हैं। तो ये जंग ख़त्म नहीं हो पा रही और दूर दूर तक असर नहीं, और ये तीसरी जंग अजीम का शाखसान है। अब हुआ ये है कि इनके पेशवा ने कह दिया है कि अच्छा आप बनाए कानून, हम सब यहाँ से निकल जाएंगे। अब आप
It's Joe Biden's reason. We need to get humanitarian aid into Gaza. I don't think we should. I don't think any of our aid that goes to Israel to support our greatest ally, arguably maybe in the world, to defeat Hamas and Iran and Russia, and probably North Korea's in there and China too, with them and helping Hamas. We shouldn't be spending a dime on humanitarian aid. It should be like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Get it over quick.
خيمة لا حول ولا قوة. تعال يا عمي، تعال لا حول. اطلع لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. يلا يا اخوي، يلا يا حبيبي، يلا يا معلم، يلا لبرا، يلا يا شباب.
كم مربطين ايديهم ولا ما ينتقم منهم؟
جثث قام جيش الاحتلال بإعدامهم بعد تكبيلهم.
مع تقليدهم دلوقتي.
So mit dem umgehen? Unglaublich.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर